Well, this is not the video that I'd planned on putting up right now. I kind of put it on the back burner. I don't know if I'll complete it or not. It was basically the one to make a point that the people who fell for the September 23rd fiasco, and to omit the people, if you were following them people, that were false prophets, basically. Instead of making this one. We'll look at the effectiveness of what really does kill people, what mortality, and of course abortion is going to lead the way at 824,011. But the one I want to bring your attention to is heart disease at 463,576, and at cancer 446,486. Now, they say that they've made all these advancements, and I know from experience, unfortunately, treating you during a heart attack has definitely had some advances, some very, very good advances made. Cancer, from experience, I can tell you sometimes the treatment's as bad as the disease. And sometimes it's not effective for long. But we can look scratch abortion out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 5. Medical errors. How bad is that? That's pretty sad that it was within the top 5. But you got obesity at 231,657. And then you've got tobacco at 264,105. But tobacco is still not per se a disease. You got stroke at 100,438. Low respiratory disease, Laura, that should come out with the tobacco part, in my opinion. Within the top 10, you got hospital-associated infections, alcohol, and if you read any of what I've been writing and doing research on, you'll see that alcohol is one of the things that I go after right off bat. You got Alzheimer's, but then you've also got stroke, and these two, believe it or not, are somewhat related. If you'll notice, they do all drug abuse. There's prescription overdose. You don't see, or I haven't so far, this number you're going to see drastically raise as the UN puts in their Agenda 21. Super much. But getting back to the cancer and heart disease, you two main killers. Now, the American Heart Association recently come online or come out with how coconut oil is bad for you. Oh, it's bad for you. Since they've developed, have they really made any progress? No. Heart disease is actually worse than it was when I was young. I'm 57. You died quicker if you had heart disease, but at the same time, you didn't hear much of heart disease. Not unless they were just old and their heart give up. So, while they may have made advances in patches, they've lost ground in prevention completely, 100%. Could that be because Big Pharma is the one that sponsors a lot of your medical school studies, and these people? And could they be pitching a fit in particular over coconut oil because they have a guy that's connected with the vegetable and the canola oil? A little conflict of interest there, I would think. Actually, they got two guys that's connected in like that. The other disease that's one losing ground, and they say, well, but people live longer. Are they really living longer, or are they just being caught earlier? Again, no prevention whatsoever. And once you get cancer, or heart disease, but especially cancer, then it's usually you're pretty well screwed. It's hard as the dickens to keep it at bay and to try to build your body back from it. Almost impossible. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that I've had a few years since then. But they're losing their little effort. If anything, they're making it worse. And so's the American Heart Association. But there again, they would like to have, under 500 million people in the world. But you get to looking heart disease, cancer, obesity, stroke, just those right there. At some point, you had a little light has to go off, and you go, what do these have in common? If anything, what do they have in common? And what they might just have in common, food. That's what they definitely have in common, is food. So just something to think about. So, why are these people losing? Well, they're not really losing. We're losing by listening to them and by allowing them. But right here is, they kind of give you a hint. The AHA offers food manufacturers a certain certification program labeling with the association's heart check monitor or mark foods that are low in fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol to cover the cost of administrating the program. The AHA charges companies on a per product basis $7,500 for 1 to 9 products, and it goes on, with that. Merck, Big Pharma, is spending $400,000 to finance the AHA program, teaching 40,000 doctors to treat cholesterol according to guidelines. Whose guidelines? They were paid for $50,000 by the Florida grapefruit growers. Guess what's probably going to be real good for you? 1.1 million from food manufacturers to use the license. Philadelphia Inquirer come up with that. You look down through here, National Livestock Meat Board gave $189,000. So maybe when I sell my calves, that's part of what I'm paying without knowing it and without being asked to pay it. Bayer, absolutely the devil. Probably worse than Merck, or as bad. Over $500,000 per year. AT&T. There's just these are huge multinational corporations. And you'll find GlaxoSmithKline, Humana. It's just amazing. And you don't think that they're just giving this money out of the goodness of their heart? Is that what you think they're doing? Or are they giving this because they want to, a favor done? Is this the reason why heart disease is the #1 failure next to abortion in America? And so the other loser of the thing seems to be the American Cancer Society. This is just one, like the heart, this is just one of many things. All you have to do is do a Google search or Bing or wherever you want to search for corruption. It's not hard to find. It's funny, here you see all kinds of quotes. This is funny. As you undoubtedly know, there's no evidence at the present time that any food or combination of foods specifically affects the course of any cancer in a man. They made that statement in 1957. Might be noteworthy because in the 40s they found out that most of our land was devoid of most of the minerals that it needed to produce good, healthy food. And it could be that they were planning, because we only see the effects of what happens. But, you can read through here different things and go to different websites and read different things. That has been my major failures. And they don't want to cure it. And there's a lot of money in it. This is old figures at, around $2 million, and has a retirement package. The CEO makes that. Then here's other dudes. I mean, they make some bucks. And here's what you should really be worried about. The American Rockefeller Foundation. And if you'll notice the circle, Saturn, Satan, and the FDA is in on this. So it's funny. I know I used to, when I sold farm and pet supplies, I turned around and had some real good stuff called Vetrex. And when it was firstly developed, and it was all natural, when it was first developed, it was called Save the Baby. And the FDA started, and they wanted a fortune to be called something for the children. And one of the founders' daughters that was honored the company back then, I was a distributor for it, said that, he tried to tell them, if I pay you all this money, then it'll be so expensive most people can't afford it. Their answer was so. He did label it for animals, and yet, knowing the history behind it, I used it on myself and my children for any kind of respiratory infections, and it worked great with no side effects whatsoever. At some point you got to just kind of look and think, what is going on with these places? And then this epiphany happens. It's a little light bulb should go off if you're even able to think for yourself with the fluoride in the water and the aluminum that's being used to cook. You go, wow. What about, why is this? It's not enough for things to be as they are. You have to wonder why things are they are. So I want to keep this video short, concise, which will be different from the rest. But I go to Dr. Mercola, or MERCOLA, a lot for information. I mean, I go to other places as well, but Mercola, I've never seen them be wrong. And if they ever are wrong, I'm sure they'd be the first to correct it. cancer and heart disease, since I've had both and have both, kind of have a soft spot with me. This, I didn't expect to see, but this is true. When I was taking chemotherapy, and we were in one big room back then at UT, and so, you know, one little time I was conscious, I would overhear the doctors talking to the other patients and patients talking to each other. I learned more about chemo and radiation from the patients than I did from the medical staff. The one thing, however, I did hear was ladies with breast cancer, and they would tell them, do not use any antiperspirants with aluminum. We don't use any anymore after that. You know, that's true. That is true, because the doctors would tell the patients, do not use any antiperspirant with aluminum. So that should be an elimination, and that will also be something that may help you out, to where you ladies won't get that. And by the way, not one penny did I ever see this pink ribbon breast cancer thing give to the first lady that was in there. Merkel has got quite a bit on this stuff, just like he does on everything. Mayo Clinic finds massive fraud in cancer research. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff here. Here he's got, you know, that the causes, pesticides and other exposures to chemicals. Now I have a farm and I grow a garden. That's two different things. We don't use chemicals, but we're probably one of the only ones around that don't use some sort of chemical. Pharmaceutical drugs. Enough said on that. I mean, look at the opioid addiction we face nowadays. Processed and artificial foods, plus the chemicals in the packaging, which would be BPA, etc. Wireless technologies, dirty electricity, medical diagnostic, radiation exposure. Everybody wants an x-ray. And your cell phones, yes, that will come out in the future. People have laughed at me like they did 10, 15 years ago when I told them their TVs, the new TVs, flat screens, could watch TV and record them and give back information. Now it's a common known fact. Dirty electricity is like your, how about any electricity? It creates a magnetic field that can resonate and create those. Obesity. Again, that's going to be food related. Stress. Oh God, at UPS we used to hear, oh, you have to have stress in your life. No, you don't. Poor sleeping habits, I still have those. We don't rest enough, and probably some of that due to stress, probably some of that due to food. We just don't get out no more in the sunshine. And sunshine stimulates vitamin D. Of course, you want out in the hours before 1 when it's UVB, not UVA, which happens afterwards. Sugar is in everything. I just got done making my own sausage. And I wanted to make some like Cracker Barrel until I found out Cracker Barrels had 2 tablespoons of brown sugar per pound. That's not sausage. And then this, so here's just something you might want to think about the next time you give, and I just screwed up and give to the first one. This shows you only 2.5% of the kids' wish network goes actually to the kids. Cancer is 0.09, even less. Kids Wish Foundation is 10.8%. American breast cancer is 5.3%. This is, right there is what they paid their solicitors, the people who sell you this stuff. Firefighters, charities, God knows we all have that call. 8.4, breast cancer relief. 2.2, International Union of Police and Associations, AFL-CIO. 0.05. So, before you sling your money out there, you might want to wonder where it's going and why it's going. And that's really about all I got to say. Just do your research.